It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 10 of The Walking Dead. First of all, for all of those watching who celebrated Thanksgiving earlier this week, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with friends and family. One other thing, some quick announcements before we get started. I have received tons of comments from subscribers telling me they are not receiving notifications for uploads, which is actually caused by some problems on YouTube's end, where it's either unsubscribing users or turning off their notifications. So do me a favor and go check to see if you're still subscribed and that the notification bell is turned on. Even if you've done so already, it doesn't hurt to check again, especially if you are noticing that you're not seeing the notifications come in for uploads for the channel. Last but not least, starting this week, we will be going into our Walking Dead off-season schedule. This is the new schedule that we have, which is on the screen right here. So looking at the column to the left, there's no planned videos until Thursday, where we will have what we call our Throwback Thursday ranking videos. In the first one, I'll be ranking the episodes from the first half of Season 10 in order of my favorite to least favorite, so stay tuned for that. We will also be continuing our live gameplay of Telltale's The Walking Dead. I think we're on Season 2, Episode 2 or 3. I'll let you all know one day in advance so you don't miss it. So stay tuned for those as well. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a new picture that The Walking Dead's Twitter page recently posted about Thanksgiving. It was like a fun picture that they released for Thanksgiving to just say Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the fandom. They've done that for the last few seasons as well, so it's not just this year. But for the one that they released this year, there's a few interesting stuff in there, and there could be some major clues about where the story is going and certain things that we might see. Now, it doesn't have any major spoilers in it or anything like that. If anything, it's just Easter eggs or major clues, as I called it. So this is the picture right here. We see everyone around the table, and the theme they're going with is obviously Thanksgiving dinner. But what's very interesting, before we even get to the hints or the clues, is who's actually in the picture, because there are certain characters that are not featured for whatever reason. Michonne is one big one, Connie is another big one, and the third one is Magna. These three are not featured for whatever reason. I don't know if there's any other ones that I'm forgetting, but I think everyone else is there. But I'm just gonna go around the table to point out everyone that's on there and also everyone that's around, and then we'll get to the Easter eggs that are there. So we have obviously Carol here reading maybe a newspaper or a map or something. We have Dog here. We have, I think, someone here who might be Gracie. We have Judith here, of course. We have Nabila. We have Jerry. So Jerry is in the picture, which is interesting, but we have Cindy. We have Jules. That's very interesting. We have Luke. We have Gamma. It's interesting that she's in the picture, but it's interesting she's with the survivors. She's not with the other Whisperers, but she's right next to Aaron. So Aaron's there. We have Lydia, Kelly, Father Gabriel doing like a blessing or something, or praying, which is pretty cool. We have Rosita, Eugene, we have Yumiko, we have RJ, and Daryl, and of course Ezekiel. So the key characters that are missing, like I said at this point, are Magna, Michonne, and Connie. None of those are here. Like, they have Jules in there, but they don't have Magna or Michonne, which is interesting. Now for Michonne, kind of makes sense because she's exiting this season, so that could kind of give us an indication that she's leaving maybe in the next few episodes in the second half, which is pretty interesting. But Magna and Connie are not there. Now, they were in my list of people who might die in the mid-season premiere because they're trapped in the caves, so that could be a clue for that. And Jerry is of course there. Now Jerry was my number one pick, but it's interesting that he's actually in here, but Connie and Magna are not. Now, other than them, in the background we have Maggie walking towards them as well, which is pretty cool. So we do know that Maggie's going to be returning in the second half, so that's pretty cool that they've featured her here because we do know that she's coming back, so it kind of connects to that. And right here we have the Whisperers. So we have Alpha, Beta, and Negan. So Negan is with them, which is pretty cool. Of course, Negan at this point is with the Whisperers. We don't know what he's going to do. Most likely he's not really a Whisperer at this point, but we do know that he's with them. So that's why he is with Alpha and Beta in this picture here. Now going into some of the Easter eggs, so of course right here, what I already talked about. So we have Alexandria's windmill in the back, which is interesting. I don't think there's anything significant about that, but it's interesting that it's in there right next to Alpha, Beta, and Negan. But, you know, the fact that Negan is with Alpha and Beta also is very interesting. And like I said, it doesn't really mean that Negan is going to stay with them. It just means that he's with the Whisperers at this point. Next, we have this shot of some house burning. So there's smoke coming out. And if we look at stuff that happens in the comics, and if we look at the trailer for the second half, we do notice that this could be an indication or a clue that we might see the buildings at Hilltop, maybe Alexandria, but most likely Hilltop, burning down, which is an aftermath of the Whisperers attacking them. So we do see in the trailer, the Whisperers are shooting fire arrows at the houses in the Hilltop. So this is most likely connected to that. And like I said earlier, they do the exact story in the comic book as well. Next, we have this shot of this battleship right here. So of course, if we look at the trailer, we do see the exact same battleship and Michonne is in it. And obviously that's connected to Michonne and Virgil's story, and that's basically the reason Michonne left in the mid-season finale. Because Virgil told her that he had some weapons that they could use to take care of this megahertz that is threatening them. So that's very interesting. That the reason why Michonne is not around the table could be that she's in the boat. That's a possibility. But obviously this boat is connected to Michonne and Virgil. Now we don't know if this is the weapon Virgil was talking about or not. It could be. It's also entirely possible that Virgil was talking about some sort of explosive that would be able to take care of the herd. Now, they might still be able to use the battleship in some other way, if it's functional, of course. But there's also a possibility this could just be a way to move them around, and it doesn't actually have any weaponry inside. Next, we have this shot of a silhouette of a city skyline. Now, obviously, for comic readers, we know what that is. But for non-comic readers, remember there was a scene a couple episodes ago when Eugene was communicating with someone through the radio. Well, the significance of this city skyline is that it connects directly to that story. And the person Eugene was talking to comes from this place. Now, in the comic book, this was in Ohio, and it was part of a community called Commonwealth. Now, in the TV show, they're probably going the same route, and this is most likely also Commonwealth. Now, we don't know whether this is Ohio or somewhere else, but it's most likely still going to be called Commonwealth. Now, there is a clue that this is in fact Ohio as well. If we look at certain pictures that were released, well, not officially released, but that came out of the spin-off, the third Walking Dead series, World Beyond. I talked about that on a separate video. If you haven't checked that out, you can click the link that's going to drop on the top right to go check that out. I talk about that in more depth. And also, a new picture came out recently, which is interesting, but I don't know how it kind of connects to everything. And it's about The Walking Dead filming in Pittsburgh. So that's very interesting. Now, I will talk about that in more depth in a separate video, but I just don't know how to connect it to everything else that's going on in the world of The Walking Dead quite yet. But stay tuned for that video. And then last but not least, we of course have this Easter egg right here. So of course Maggie right here in the background approaching the group, which is obviously connected to how Maggie is going to be returning in the second half, which is pretty cool. We also see the entrance to a cave right here, which connects to what happened at the end of the mid-season finale. Also what we're going to most likely see in the mid-season premiere. Now, we don't know who's going to make it out of that scenario alive, but that's just an Easter egg for that. Other than that, I didn't see any other significance in this picture. Again, in terms of the characters that we see and the characters that are missing, there could be no Easter egg there. It could just be they didn't include those characters in there. But I want to know everyone's thoughts and opinions about this picture. What do you think is the significance of the areas I have? Do you think it's in fact what I talked about, or do you think there's something else to it? And also, what do you think is the significance of them not featuring certain characters in here? That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads.